Every devotee who claims to be Vaishnava must guard against these offenses in order to achieve the desired success, Krishna Prema. Once again, I thank everyone for joining the Bhakti Sangha conference call today. Let us move to our next session, which is Srimad Bhagavatam class. May I know who all have joined the call this morning?
Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Vardhana Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Guru Maharaj ki jai, Preeti Dasi from Charlotte. Hare Krishna and beautiful outfit. Background Sita Ramchandra ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Preeti Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. Please accept my humble obeisances. All goes to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much, Mataji, for joining the call. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Guru Maharaj ki jai. This is Arvind Das from Chicago. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Arvind Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. Please accept my humble obeisances. All goes to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much, Prabhuji, for joining the call. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. I offer my obeisances to all the assembled devotees. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. This is Anand Shah from West Bengal.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. Please accept my humble obeisances. All goes to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much, Prabhuji, for joining the call. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Vardhana Mataji, all glories to the Prabhupada and Guru Maharajis. My humble obeisances to you and all the devotees. This is Krishna Kumari Devidasi from Raleigh.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Kumari Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. Please accept my humble obeisances. All goes to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much, Prabhuji, Mataji, for joining the call. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Vardhana Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. This is Gandharvika Devdasi from Texas.
Hare Krishna, Vinita Gandharika Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. Please accept my humble obeisances. All goes to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much, Mataji, for joining the call. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. All glories to all the assembled devotees. This is Shiromani Nandarani Devidasi from Krishna Kathadesh. Hare Krishna Mataji, thank you.
Hare Krishna, Shiromani Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. All goes to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much, Mataji, for joining the call. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. All glories to all the assembled devotees. This is Sushmita from Canada.
Hare Krishna, Shushmita Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. Please accept my humble obeisances. All goes to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much, Mataji, for joining the call. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Vardhana Mataji. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to Radha Damodar, all glories to the all assembled devotees of this divine group. This is Pooja Arora from Haridwar Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Pooja Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much, Mataji, for joining the call. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Vardhana Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, Srila Prabhupada, Guru Maharaj ki jai. This is Shyama Devidasi from Charlotte.
Hare Krishna, Shyama Gauri Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. Please accept my humble obeisances. All goes to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much, Mataji, for joining the call. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Is anybody who would like to introduce themselves?
Hare Krishna Mataji, it is Rinki from London, UK. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to devotees. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna
What's
Mataji.
your name, Mataji? Did you get the name of Mataji?
Rinki Mataji. Can you repeat your full name, Mataji?
Yeah, Rinki. My name is
Rinki, oh.
Rinki. Rinki is from
Okay.
London, UK. Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Rinki Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. Please accept my humble obeisances. All goes to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much for joining the call. Is it the first time, Mataji, you're joining?
No, I have been couple of months I've been coming here, Mataji.
Yeah, please join regularly, Mataji, and give your association. Thank you so much for joining, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, all glories to Prabhupada, all glories to Prabhupada, all glories to Assembly. This is Mohini Lakshmi from Detroit.
Hare Krishna Mohini Lakshmi Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. Please accept my humble obeisances. All goes to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much, Mataji, for joining the call. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna Mataji, this is Kamali Kedasi from Baltimore. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Sri Prabhupada, all glories to Guru Maharaj and all the devotees. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Kamadiki Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. Please accept my humble obeisances. All goes to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much, Mataji, for joining the call. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Welcoming all of you to the Bhakti Sangha conference call. Today we are very fortunate to have His Grace Radhika Vallabha Prabhu. Prabhuji is going to enlighten us on the topic of Srimad Bhagavatam, 6th canto, 11th chapter, 5th verse. I'll hand over the call to Sureshwar Shyam Prabhuji to give a brief introduction.
Mataji, no introduction today.
No introduction.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam, all goes to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much, Prabhuji, for giving your valuable time and association to us this morning and enlightening on the topic of Srimad Bhagavatam. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. I'll hand over the call to you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Om Bhagavate Sudevaya Om Bhagavate Sudevaya Narayanam Satya Naram Chaiva Narottama Saraswati Vyasam Tato Jayamudire Nashtaprayeshu Patreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Bhakti Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Kumaraya Govinda Jnana Timindrakte Jnanam Chakshaya Surodharitamye Tasmai Shri Prave Namah Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Krishnaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Nirvisesha Shunyamati Chitideshata Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Sri Advaita Gadam Srivasadi Prabhu Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Rama Hare Rama Hare Krishna. We are just going to read from Canto 6, Chapter 11, text number 5. The verse. Yadiva pradane shraddha saram va kshullaka kriti agre tishtata matram me nachet gramya sukhe sprabha. Synonyms, word-to-word translation. Yadi, if, vaha, of you, pradane, in battle, shraddha, faith, saram, patience, va, or shullakaha, or insignificant ones, kriti, in the core of the heart, agre, in front, tishtaka, just a stand, matram, for a moment, may, of me, na, not, chet, if, gramya sukhe, in sense gratification, spurha, desire. O insignificant demigods, if you truly have faith in your heroism, if you have patience in the core of your hearts, and if you are not ambitious for sense gratification, please stand before me for a moment. Purport. Rebuking the demigods, Vritrasura challenged, O demigods, if you are actually heroes, stand before me now and try to show your prowess. If you do not wish to fight, if you are afraid of losing your lives, I shall not kill you. For unlike you, I am not so evil-minded as to kill persons who are neither heroic nor willing to fight. If you have faith in your heroism, please stand before me. This is the word spoken by Vritrasura to the Devatas. Yadivaha pradane means here yuddhe, the battlefield. Shraddha, if you have faith in your heroism in this battle. Yadivaha pradane shraddha. Saram usually means essence actually. But in this verse, the word saram means dhairyam. Dhairyam means what? Patience. If you have patience in the core of your hearts, saram hridi, if you have patience in the core of your hearts. Shullaka is basically addressing the Devata, oh insignificant Devata, oh insignificant Devatas. Because the Devatas are trying to attack the demons who are fleeing the battlefield. If you have patience in the core of your hearts, and gramya sukhe spruha no nachet, if you do not have spruha, desire for gramya sukha, for sense gratification, if you do not desire sense gratification, because I am going to kill you, if you do not desire sense gratification, then agre tishtata, stand in front of me, matram, just for a moment. Just for a moment. This is the word spoken by Vritrasura. It's a very beautiful story in the Srimad Bhagavatam. So the Devatas have actually attacked the demons. The Devatas, they have got they are equipped with the Vajrayudha, which is made especially from the bones of the Dadichi Muni. And Indra is very effulgent after that weapon. And then just by seeing the Devatas, the demons are fleeing actually. So in the previous chapter, at the end of the previous chapter, Vritrasura was chastising the demons who were fleeing the battlefield. But when the Vritrasura chastised his own people who were fleeing the battlefield, but those demons could not accept his words because the demons were in a frightened and a disturbed state of mind. They were intent upon protecting their lives, and they were intent on therefore fleeing the battlefield. So when a person is when somebody is in too much fear and anxiety, one is not able to assimilate the good advice. Dhruva Maharaj was too much afflicted by the insult of Suruchi. Therefore, he could not accept the Brahminical advice initially spoken by Narada Muni. Narada Muni told him to tolerate Gunadikan Mudam Lipset Anukrosha Gunadama Maitrim Samana Tanviche Natape Rabibhuyate. One should be happy when you meet people who have better qualities than us. One should be happy to meet them. When you meet people who are equal to us, we should have friendly relation. When we meet people who are inferior to us, we should show compassion. So Narada Muni told that don't take this insult seriously. But because Dhruva was too much affected by the insult of Suruchi, he could not accept those words. When Chitraketu Maharaj was too much hankering for the sun, So Angira Rishi himself did not try to instruct Chitraketu Maharaj because he understood that his instructions would not register in the mind of Chitraketu Maharaj. When Diti was too much affected by the lust, by Kama, she could not accept the instructions spoken by Kashyapa Muni. Kashyapa Muni warned that this is not the right time for procreation, but Diti could not accept those instructions. So therefore, see here also that the demons, who were fleeing the battlefield, they could not actually assimilate the instructions of Vritrasur, who told them that leaving one's body in the battlefield will actually elevate one. So Vritrasur not only chastises the demons, he also chastises the Devatas also. Because the Devatas were trying to attack the demons who were fleeing. So Vritrasur, and then, so when he's chastising the demons, when he's chastising the Devatas, he is speaking from the point of view of the dharma of a Kshatriya. Kshatriya should not flee the battlefield, and a Kshatriya should not attack a person who is fleeing the battlefield. And then now, so Vritrasura is speaking the Kshatriya dharma here, and then later you will see that Vritrasura will go beyond this and he will speak about Nishkama Karma Yoga. He will speak about the principles of the Bhagavata dharma in his prayers, devotional service to Krishna. So we see that Vritrasura is actually Vritrasura was trying to give confidence to his people. So confidence is necessary in any field, academic field, corporate field, spiritual field. In the corporate field or in the modern academic field, modern corporate field, one is expected to glorify oneself. Actually, glorifying oneself is equivalent to committing suicide. Actually, by that one loses one's pious credit. Krishna also tells to Uddhava Gita, Krishna also tells to Uddhava that a devotee should not advertise himself. But in the modern field, modern arena, one is expected to glorify oneself. And that is, if a person is glorifying oneself, writing about himself in the resume, etc., then that is considered as a sign of self-confidence. But Vritrasura's self-confidence, he says in the Bhagavatam that I know that I am going back to Godhead. You will see later in this chapter. And I am going back to Godhead. I am going to get the dust of Narada Muni. So this is actually real self-confidence. So what we see in the modern world is a artificial self-confidence. So real self-confidence comes when a person has a faith. Shraddha Shabde Vishwasatahe Sudruda Nishchaya Krishne Bhakti Kaile Sarva Karma Kritahaya. Shraddha is firm faith that by rendering loving service to Krishna, one automatically performs all subsidiary activities. Such faith is favorable to the discharge of devotional service. So when the Devatas were actually looking at the demons who were fleeing the battlefield, the Devatas, now they are favored by the time factor, and they took advantage of the favorable opportunity provided by the time factor, and they tried to attack the demons. So we see that in the course of time, different people, some people get a favorable opportunity, some people get an unfavorable opportunity. So time is actually shaping things. It is bringing happiness or distress. So even in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Rupa Goswami says that one of the preliminary symptoms of ecstatic love, one of the symptoms of Bhava Bhakti is that avyartha kalatvam, not to waste time. But when we observe the time factor, how do the materialists deal with the time factor and how do the spiritualists deal with the time factor. So Bhagavatam says that tasyaiva heto prayateta kovido nalabhyate yat brahmatam uparyadaha tallabhyate dukkavad anyata sukham kalena sarvatra gabira rampasa. The persons who are actually intelligent and philosophically inclined, they should endeavor only for that purposeful end, which is not obtainable by wandering from the topmost planet down to the lowest planet. Because whatever we achieve from the topmost to lowest planet, they will be taken away in due course of time. They will be temporary. And as far as happiness from sense gratification is concerned, it can be obtained automatically in due course of time. One need not over endeavor for material happiness. Just like we, without endeavoring on our own, we get distress in due course of time. Without over endeavoring, one will get material happiness in due course of time. So this is how a person who observes the time factor deals with the life. So, like we see some examples in the Bhagavatam. The right examples of devotees dealing with the observing the flow of time. When the devotees observe the flow of time, they practice dharma, they practice bhakti. Prithu Maharaj, he saw that he is getting old. When he saw that, then when he observed that, then he desired to retire from the his kingdom, and then he desired to prepare back to God. And Yudhishthira Maharaj saw the symptoms of Kali Yuga, and then he desired to retire. So mundane magazines and newspapers, they don't train us to observe the flow of time. But Srimad Bhagavatam trains us to observe the flow of time. So here the Devatas, by seeing the favorable opportunity provided by time, they are deviating from their dharma. But the Shastras, they train you to practice your dharma when you are observing the flow of time. So the demons forgot their dharma of fighting the battlefield because of fear and anxiety. So they were fleeing the battlefield. And demigods, they forgot their dharma of following the Kshatriya codes of conduct because of attachment to sense gratification, because of attachment to winning. The demons were afraid of losing the battle, and the demigods, the demons were averse to losing their battle, losing their lives in the battle, and the demigods were attached to winning the battle. So therefore, they took advantage of the situation to attack them from behind. But a really great-minded person does not deviate from dharma either in success or in defeat. Sukhe dukhe same kritva labha labhau jaya jayau tato yuddhaya yujyasva. Krishna says that without consideration of profit or loss, happiness or distress, you must perform your duty of fighting. So Vritrasur is so fixed in the principles of dharma. He is chastising not only the demons, but he also chastises the demigods. The Vritrasur is not concerned with winning or losing, but Vritrasur is concerned with performing his duty. He performed his duty. His duty was to fight against Indra. He performed his duty till the last point of death. Although he knew that he is going to be killed, he is going to lose, but he performed his duty. So both the person who does not show heroism And the person who shows heroism at the wrong time, who does not show heroism at the right time, and who shows heroism at the wrong time, both are condemned. And both are in the same platform. So demigods are exercising their power at those who are fleeing. And the demons are not showing their courage to fight in the battlefield. So we have to, even in our practice of sadhana bhakti, or even in our day-to-day life, we have to understand where we should restrain and where we should not restrain ourselves. The demons were not supposed to restrain themselves, they are supposed to fight courageously. And the demigods were supposed to restrain from fighting by seeing the demons were fleeing the battlefield. So similarly, in our life also, sometimes we are supposed to restrain our feelings, hold our feelings. Sometimes we are supposed to not restrain our feelings. Prabhupada said that a devotee should be like a lion at chase and lamb at home. When you are actually dealing with people with the opposite philosophies, so one should not be covered, one should not be humble, one should not restrain oneself, one should use the right yukti and present the right arguments to defeat the wrong philosophies. But within home, within the family of devotees, one should be lamb at home. Within the family of devotees. So there one should restrain one's feelings to fight within the other family members. And we see a true devotee is somebody who is a devotee in all circumstances. Not that a person is a devotee in a particular season. So Vritrasur is a true devotee because he fought and he exhibited his bhakti in all circumstances. So Vritrasur is enforcing religious principles. And he will also speak about the transcendental Bhagavata Dharma later in the chapter, next chapter. Like Krishna also spoke to Arjuna, inspired Arjuna to fight the battle from the ordinary Dharma, from Kshatriya Dharma point of view. And Krishna also tried to inspire Arjuna from Bhagavata Dharma, from the transcendental Dharma point of view. Nimitta matram bhava savya sachin, just become my instrument. Do it for me. Krishna also spoke from ordinary Dharma. You being a Kshatriya, how can you give up your duty as a Kshatriya? Bayadranat uparatam, mamsyante tva maharata, yesham chatvam bhagamato, bhutva yasyasi lagavam. If you leave the battlefield, people will say that you are actually covered. Swadharmam apichavekshya na vikampitu margasi, dharmyadi yuddhat shreyonyat kshatriyasya na vidyate. So therefore, just like Vritrasur spoke the ordinary dharma and transcendental dharma, Krishna also spoke the ordinary Kshatriya dharma and the Bhagavata dharma, both. So we see in the lives of the Lord and the Acharyas, they teach both the ordinary dharmas of this world and also they teach the Sanatan dharma, the Bhagavata dharma. The Bhagavatam in regards to Lord Ram, it is mentioned, Martyavataras vihamartya shikshanam raksho vadayaiva na kevalam vibo kutonyata dramatasva atmana sita kritani vyasanani ishwarasya. So it was ordained that Ravana could not be killed by anyone but a man. And for this reason, Lord Ram appeared in the form of a human being. But Lord Ram's vision was not only to kill Ravana, but also to teach the mortal beings that material happiness centered around a sex life or centered around one's wife is the cause of many miseries. He is self-sufficient Supreme Personality of Godhead and nothing is lamentable for him. Therefore, why else could he be subject to tribulations by the kidnapping of Mother Sita? So Prabhupada talks about the purpose of Lord Ram's advent. One purpose is to kill Ravana, because the demigods appeal to the Lord to kill Ravana. That is one purpose. Another purpose is to, Lord Ram appeared to show how one should strictly follow the principles of Dharma. Lord Ram is called as Maryada Purushottam. He strictly followed the religious principles, and in order to protect his wife, he went to the extent of building a bridge, and he went to the extent of killing Ravana. So he demonstrated the duties as a dutiful husband, as a dutiful son, brother, and in so many ways as a dutiful Kshatriya. And Lord Ram also demonstrated that how when a person is attached to a woman, one can actually go through many tribulations. Actually, Lord Ram's attachment to Sita is completely on a transcendental platform, but he's also teaching this, because this is the lesson Shukdev Goswami also speaks in the Bhagavatam 9th canto. And Lord Ram also showed in a separation from Sita, Lord Ram is also demonstrating his actually transcendental pastimes. He's exhibiting, he's advertising his transcendental pastimes, how he's conquered by the love of his devotees. How he's conquered by the love of Sita, there are several chapters in the Ramayana where Lord Ram is lamenting in separation from Sita. Just like in the Bhagavatam, we see that gopis were lamenting in separation from Krishna. There is a Gopi Gita chapter, is there. Gopis were inquiring about Krishna when Krishna disappeared from their midst. And there is a Viraha Gita, Yugala Gita, Venu Gita. So all these in Bhagavatam, we see that how the gopis exhibit their love for Krishna in separation. In Ramayana, we see Lord Ram exhibits his love for Sita in separation. So this can be seen on two levels. On one level, just like how when a person is attached to a woman, how a person suffers, goes through so many miseries. On a transcendental platform, we can understand that how the Lord is conquered by the love of the devotees, how he is Bhakta Vatsala. In this way, Lord Ram, through his example, he is teaching the ordinary principles of Dharma, Varnashram Dharma, and is also demonstrating the transcendental principles of Bhakti Yoga also. And we see another point is that the Devatas, they are attacking the fleeing demons. So Devatas are actually fighting for the sake of Dharma. What is the definition of a Devata and Asura? Vishnu Bhakta Smrito Daiva Asurasta Viparyaya. Devatas are devotees of Vishnu. Devatas are always on the side of Dharma. The demons are the side of Adharma. When the Devatas are fighting the battle, they are fighting for the sake of Dharma. In one sense, their act of fighting is glorious. But although their activity is glorious, but they are performing that glorious activity with a selfish attachment. Because that is why they are attacking the fleeing demons. So sometimes one may perform a very glorious activity, but one may be performing the glorious activity, but with a selfish desire. Here the demigods or Devatas are performing that glorious activity of fighting against the demons, but with a selfish attachment to winning and a selfish attachment to get the post, because otherwise they would not have attacked the fleeing demons. So Vritrasur is fighting against the Devatas. It means like he is fighting against Dharma. Fighting against Dharma, it is actually wrong. But Vritrasur although he's a Mahabhagavata devotee, he is put in that position to fight against the Devatas. But although he's fighting against Dharma, but he is doing that duty, he is doing that in a selfless way. He is not disturbed to see that his own men fleeing the battlefield. He did not lose his self-confidence. He continues to fight by following the rules. Sometimes when one's followers actually, when the leader sees that the followers are actually fleeing, the followers have rejected him, if the leader may also lose his confidence. When the leader is actually identifying himself more with the followers, and suppose when the followers leave him, then the leader becomes disturbed. When the guru sometimes identifies more with the disciples, but maybe some disciples will be providing certain comfort or this thing, or when the teacher is identifying more with the students, and when the students leave him, if the teacher is attached to the students for the sake of certain material comfort, the teacher can get disturbed. How can you leave me? How can you, so far you have been attending my classes? How can you stop attending my classes? How can you start attending some other person's class? So therefore, even when a person is playing the role of a teacher or a guru, one is actually one is supposed to identify more as the servant of his superior than as the guru of his disciples. So the predominant consciousness one should have in one's mind is that one should have the idea that I am the servant of my superiors, the Guru Parampara, the Supreme Lord. Otherwise, suppose when we lose the followers, we may get disturbed. Because we also have the principle, the great is that master who never leaves his followers. So that is not out of actually attachment to the followers on a material platform. When Kala Krishna Das went away with the Bhattakari, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went and brought him back by holding his shikha. So that is the glory of the master, because the master actually wants to give protection to that servant, not because he is attached to getting service from that servant. He wants to give protection to that servant. That way. But what we see here is that Vritrasur, although the followers are fleeing, but he is not affected by that. He is not losing his confidence. He is not deviating from his principles of dharma, but he is chastising the demons and he is also chastising the demigods. And sometimes, just like for example, here the demigods they are fighting for the sake of dharma, but they are attached to getting the position. Therefore, they lost their viveka buddhi and they are attacking the fleeing demon. Similarly, sometimes we may be performing the highest selfless activity of, say, distributing books or preaching Krishna consciousness, or we may be performing even deity worship. All these activities they are on the transcendental platform. But although we may be performing these activities, but we may be performing them in a material consciousness. We may be performing them in a selfish consciousness. One may be, say, distributing books, but one may be attached to I should come first in book distribution. Or one may be preaching Krishna consciousness, but in the back of our mind, one may be thinking, oh, I have to get more followers. Or one may be thinking in terms of how much people are going to give dakshina. In the Bhagavatam 4th canto, 12th chapter, the Palastuti of Dhruva Maharaj, Maitreya Rishi says that anyone who narrates this story of Dhruva Maharaj without any material motivation, such a person will attain the highest perfection. That means when a person is narrating the story of Dhruva Maharaj, or for that matter, any Bhagavad Katha, the only expectation he should have from the audience is that the audience hears the Katha with faith. The only dakshina which the Bhagavad Kathakar should expect from the audience is that the audience hears the Katha with faith. If that person, Kathakar, is speaking with this expectation in mind, then he will attain the highest perfection. But if the Kathakar is speaking with the expectation, or if people may give certain amount of money, so then he will not attain the highest perfection. So sometimes one may perform the highest selfless spiritual activity, could be speaking Bhagavad Katha, worshipping the deities, distributing books, or any other service. But one may be performing that service sometimes with a selfish motivation. One may be attached to certain things. So that also one has to be careful. And so the Devatas, they got the power from Dadichi Muni. They got the bones of the Dadichi Muni, from that the Vajrayuda was made. But they are using that Vajrayuda, spiritual power, for their own sense gratification. Because Vritrasura is telling to the Devata, you are ambitious for sense gratification. If you don't desire sense gratification, just wait here for a moment. Stand here in front of me for a moment. So the Supreme Lord, we saw in the previous, I think, 9th chapter, the Lord directly spoke to the Devatas and asked the Devatas to give up their attachment to sense gratification. But the Devatas, they were attached to their position. They could not give up. Although the Lord directly spoke to the Devatas could not give up their attachment to sense gratification. But on the other hand, the Lord did not directly speak to the Dadichi Muni. The Lord told the Devatas to approach the Dadichi Muni. The Dadichi Muni gave up his own body, although the Lord did not directly speak to the Dadichi Muni to give his body. So that is the glory of the Dadichi Muni. The Dadichi Muni on his own, voluntarily, understanding it is the desire of the Lord, although not being directly told by the Lord, he voluntarily gave up his body for the sake of the Devatas. So we see the Devatas, they got the Vajrayuda made from the bones of the Dadichi Muni. But the Dadichi Muni's body was very powerful because he was chanting the holy names of the Lord. He was also chanting the Narayana Kavacha mantra. Because of that, his bones were very powerful. So Devatas are using that Vajrayuda, which represents nothing but the holy name of the Lord. Because Vajrayuda was made from the bones of the Dadichi Muni, which became powerful by chanting of the holy names of the Lord. But the Devatas are using that Vajrayuda for their sense gratification, because of course they want to perform service with the position of Devatas, but they are also attached to enjoying the post of the Devata. So sometimes one may use bhakti for one's own sense gratification. One may perform bhakti as a service to Krishna, but there could be some aspect of that, some element in our mind, that some portion of our mind may have desire that we may be performing bhakti for our own fulfilling our own sense gratification. So Shivaram Maharaj writes in Shuddha Bhakti Chintamani, when devotees turn, say, preaching into a fruitive activity, for example, say, by making temple into a commercial enterprise, So there can be some deviation. Yeah, sometimes to maintain the temple, certain things are required. At the same time, we have to be very careful that it does not become a commercial enterprise. Somebody was asking a devotee, okay, can you please tell me what is the present rate of your ticket for coming to your temple? Because he saw that so much of you enter the temple, you will be forced to buy so many things. Like that, I also encountered somebody who was asking me that they literally force you to buy so many things. So therefore, one may perform the even the highest activity like preaching, but it should not be performed with a fruitive mentality. So a cashier may receive money from the people, but if the cashier thinks that this money is for me, then that is wrong. That money is, he's supposed to take care of the money on behalf of the bank. That money is meant not meant for him. So Indra received power from the Supreme Lord, but he received post from the Supreme Lord, but he is performing the service, but at the same time he is thinking that, oh, this post is also for my sense gratification. So when a person is attached to sense gratification, so at that time a person loses the viveka buddhi. Kama yayato vishayan pumsa sangasteshu pajayate sangat sanjayate kama kamat krodo vijayate krodat bhavati sammoga sammogat smriti vipramaha. A person loses the viveka buddhi. At that time, the person deviates from dharma. So because the devatas were attached to sense gratification, they are deviating from the Kshatriya dharma. That is why they are attacking the fleeing demons. So therefore, whichever power we receive from the Supreme Lord, it is meant to be used only for the service of the Lord. So and if you see another point here the Dhritarashtra is telling that if you truly have faith in your heroism, if you have patience in the core of your hearts, and if you do not desire any more sense gratification, stand before me for a moment. So if we talk about the nature of a Kshatriya, what is the nature of a Kshatriya? The Yaksha Prashna today morning, the Bhagavatam discussion. Yaksha is asking to Yudhishthira Maharaj 4 questions. Kim Kshatriyanam Devatvam? What constitutes the divineness of a Kshatriya? Ishu Astram Esham Devatvam. Arrows and missiles. A Kshatriya should be equipped with the weapons. That is the Devatvam, that is the divineness of a Kshatriya. Kascha Dharma Satamiva. What is the quality of Kshatriya similar to that of goodness? That means what is their virtuous quality? So, Yajna Yesham Satamiva. Performing sacrifices are their virtuous qualities. Kascha Yesham Manusho Bhava. What is their human quality? What is their human frailty? What constitutes their Manusha Bhava? So the air is human. What is their human frailty? Bhayam vai manusho bhava. When the Kshatriya becomes fearful, here the demons became fearful. That is their actually manusha bhava. That is their weakness. Kimesham asatamiva. What is the vice of the Kshatriya? What is the quality of a Kshatriya which is similar to that of bad men? So, Parityago asatamiva, when the Kshatriya fails to offer protection to those who take shelter of him, that is their bad quality. So, in the 1990, during the Kashmir just in a matter of few days, the Kashmir Pandits were actually thrown out of the Kashmir by the extremist group. So at that time, the Kashmir Pandits, they were actually seeking they were seeking protection from the local police. They were seeking protection from the local army men. So what pained the fleeing Hindus was not that the extremist people are actually driving them away. What pained them more was that the people who were supposed to give them protection, the police and the army men, they did not give protection. It was happening right in front of them. It was happening right in front of them. So therefore, that the abandonment of the afflicted, that is the bad quality of a Kshatriya. So we see that so this particular thing is also exhibited here. Another point, a few points I wanted to share is that, so here the Dhritarashtra is saying that if you have saram hridi, saram means here dairya. If you have patience in the core of your heart, please stand in front of me, he is saying. So patience is discussed in various places in the scriptures. Rupa Goswami says that utsahat, nichayat, dairyat. Some of the things favorable for bhakti is that one should have patience, dairya. What is the definition of dairya? Sthira chitton natir yatu sa dairyam iti katyate. Dairya is defined as the stability in one's consciousness, even when there is agitation. Sthira chitta unnatir yatu sa dairyam iti katyate. And dairya is also defined in another way. Shobhasya karane api shobhanudbhavo dairyamiti. To remain undisturbed, even though there may be a reason for disturbance. That is known as dairya, perseverance. So there is not getting agitated and to remain undisturbed, even when there is a reason for disturbance. So these are the two aspects of dairya. So if you see in the Shastras, various places, so dairya is the quality of a dhira. Dhirasya bhavaha dairya. So the word dhira comes in many places in the Shastras actually. Let us go through some verses. Many things can be spoken. Some verses, famous verses that Dehinosmin yata dehe kaumaram yavanam jara tata dehantara praptir dhira tatrana mukhyati. A dhira is somebody who is not disturbed by the change of the bodies, change of the different bodily situation. And then vacho vegam, manasa krodha vegam, jihva vegam, udara upastha vegam, yetan vegan yo vishaheta dhira, sarvam apimam prithivim sasishya. One who can tolerate the 6 urges, he is a dhira. Yo vishaheta dhira. He is actually qualified to make disciples all over the world. Another place, Vidura is instructing Dhritarashtra, the first canto. Gata swartam imam deham virakto mukta bandhanaha avijñata gatir jahyat savai dhira udakritaha. A person is called as a dhira who gives up his body which has not been used to worship Krishna after rejecting the wealth and sons and going to that place where nobody can find him while practicing bhakti. Such a person is called as a dhira. Suppose a person has not utilized his body in devotional service, and then he realizes his mistake at the fag end of his life, then he can become a dhira by renouncing his wealth and comforts and going to an unknown place without telling the family members. If he does that, he becomes a dhira. Superior to Dhira is a Narottama. Narottama means that person who on his own prepares his life for his retirement without being told by anybody. On his own, being self-inspired, he prepares from beforehand, and then on his own he retires without being canvassed by somebody. Such a person is a Narottama. Vidura is telling Dhritarashtra, you are not a Narottama, so at least become a Dhira. You are not utilized your life for Krishna Bhakti, so at least now become a Dhira by taking up to spiritual life. Another place where the word Dhira comes in the 8th canto. The Devatas are offering prayers to Vishnu. 8.5.29. Yayeka varnam tamasapparam tad alokam avyaktam ananta param asam chakaro pasuparnamenam upasate yogaratena dhira. The word dhira comes. So we offer respects to the Lord who is beyond darkness. Tamasa param tat. Who is unseen by all people. Alokam avyaktam. Avyaktam, invisible. Ananta param, beyond the description of the words. And who is seated on Garuda. Suparnam, Chakaropa Suparnam. Suparna refers to Garuda. And whom the yogi seated on his chariot of yoga, who never gives up the worship or worships using the syllable Om. Upasate yoga ratena dhira. So here the word dhira comes in the way that a yogi who never gives up his worship of the Supreme Lord, such a yogi is called as a dhira. So to never give up the worship of the Lord, you need patience. Because there will be so many different challenges will come. Another place where the word dhira comes, the Upanishad, it comes in 2 places. Anya devahur vidyaya, anya dahur avidyaya, iti sushruma dhiranam yenastat vichachakshire. The wise have explained, the dhiras have explained. Prabhupada translates the word dhira as wise. The wise have explained that one result is achieved by the culture of knowledge and that a different result is achieved by the culture of nescience. So Prabhupada says that one can become a dhira by submissively hearing from a bona fide guru. So Arjuna became a dhira by submissively hearing from Krishna. Thus the perfect disciple must be like Arjuna, and the spiritual master must be as good as the Lord himself. Same Upanishad says that Anyad evahu sambhavat, anyad ahur asambhavat, iti sushruma dhiranam yenastat vichachakshire. One result is achieved by worshipping the supreme cause of all causes, and that another result is achieved by worshipping that which is not supreme. And all this is heard from undisturbed authorities, from the dhiras. Dhiras are translated as undisturbed authorities who clearly explained it. So Prabhupada says that a dhira is a person who is not disturbed by material illusion. Such a person can only have patience. So therefore, Dhritarashtra is saying that if you have patience in the core of your heart, if you are not disturbed by material illusion, just stand in front of me for a moment. So no one can be undisturbed unless one is perfectly spiritually realized. The platform of spiritual realization is that platform where a person does not hanker over something, nor does he lament over something. Brahma bhuta prasannatma na shochati na kankshati samas sarveshu bhuteshu madbhaktim labate bharam. or yam labdva chaparam labam manyate nadikam tatah yasmin sthitona dukkena gurunapi vichalyate. Yeah, this is also the state of Dhira only. Dhira is somebody who is not disturbed even with the greatest distress. And yam labdva chaparam labam. He does not think that there is nothing more to be obtained. So the Dhira realizes that the material body and mind he has acquired by chance through material association are but foreign elements. And therefore, he simply makes the best use of a bad bargain. Another place, the word Dhira, Bhartruhari in the Niti Shataka, he speaks a verse. Kanta Kataksha Vishika Nalunanti Yasya Chittam na nirdahati kopa krishanu tapaha tarshanti bhuri vishayarchana loba pasha lokatrayam jayati kritsnamidam sadiraha. So here Bhartruhari defines Dhira in a general way. Yes, what he says is that a Dhira is somebody who has won over three things: Lobha, Kama and Krodha. That is what Krishna says are the three gates of hell. Trividam narakasyedam dwaram nashanam atmanaha kama krotas tata lobas tasmat yeda trayam tejet. These are the three gates to hell. So Bhartruhari says that Kanta Kataksha Vishika na lunanti. So Kanta Kataksha Vishika means the sidelong glances of a lover. So one who is not disturbed by the sidelong glances of a lover. That means one who has conquered the Kama. Chittam na nirdahati kopa krishanu tapaha. One whose heart is not burning because of anger. Na nirdahati kopa krishanu tapaha. Tarshanti bhuri vishayascha na loba pasha. One who does not hanker after so many sense objects because of greed. Such a person is lokatrayam jayati. He has conquered all the three worlds. He is called as a Dhira. In this way, Bhartruhari defines the word Dhira. Another verse from the Srimad Bhagavatam. This quality of patience is exhibited to a great extent, supreme extent, in the statement of Rukmini Devi. Yasyangri pankajaraja snapanam mahanto vanchanti umapatirivatma tamo pahatyai yaryambujakshanalabeya bhavat prasadam jahyamasun vratakachan shatajanma visyat. This is I think the last verse spoken by Rukmini Devi in the letter she wrote to Krishna. So she says that Ambujaksha, O lotus-eyed Lord, great souls like Lord Shiva hanker to bathe in the dust of your lotus feet and thereby destroy their ignorance. If I cannot obtain your mercy, I shall simply give up my vital force, which will have become weak from the severe penances I will perform. Then after hundreds of lifetimes of endeavor, Shata Janma Bisyat, I may obtain your mercy. So in the Rukmini Devi's letter, we see Rukmini Devi's great eagerness. She starts her letter with a great eagerness. You remember that verse? First line of the verse. Rukmini Devi, in their letter to Krishna, the first verse, she exhibits a great eagerness. I am completely captivated by your wonderful beauty. I am completely captivated by your wonderful qualities. My heart is completely captivated, and therefore I desire to achieve you as a husband. So she starts her letter with a great eagerness, and she ends her letter by exhibiting her quality of patience. Even if I am ready to wait for 100 lifetimes. So that is why Rupa Goswami says that Utsahat Nishchayat Dairya. One should be enthusiastic, eager. At the same time, one should be patient. In order to have both these qualities, which are opposite in nature, one has to have the another quality, which is faith, Nishchayat. So in this way, we see various examples of Dairya. There are also many other verses in addition to Dairya. For example, Narada Muni tells to Dhruva Maharaj, Yasya yad daiva vihitam satena sukha dukkayo atmanam toshayan dehi tamasa param richati. One should try to keep oneself satisfied in any condition of life, whether distress or happiness, which is offered with the supreme will. A person who endures in this way, he is able to cross over the darkness of nescience very easily. So, once Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Thakur was asked that, can you please tell one verse from the Shastras? If a person practices that verse, it will definitely take one back to God, or which is the most important verse according to your viewpoint. Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Thakur spoke that verse, Tattenu Kampam Susamikshamano Gunjana Yevatma Kritam Vipakam Pradvag Vaburbir Vidadan Namaste Jivetayo Mukti Padesatayava. When a person is going through difficulties, one should understand that it is because of my own karma, and Krishna has just given a small token of reaction to me. With that consciousness, when a person offers obeisances to the Lord with one's body, mind, and words, such a person becomes qualified to go back to God. These are different places where the word Dairya comes. That is the meaning given for the word Saram. So Vritrasura is telling that if you have courage, if you have courage in you, if you have patience in the core of your heart, if you have faith in your heroism, if you are really courageous, and if you have patience in the core of your heart, if you do not desire sense gratification, just wait for a moment in front of me. This way, Vritrasura is telling. So we discussed some of these points today. We end here.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, thank you so much for a wonderful class, Prabhuji. Thank you. If anybody have any questions or realizations, please go ahead, unmute yourself.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you so much, Prabhuji, for the beautiful class. So my question is, we have 4 varnas here, right? Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. Do they have demigods also have the same thing? Because Vitrasura was reminding the duties of Kshatriya to Indra and his associates.
Yeah, the demigods are actually they are administrative. The demigods, I don't think there is Vaishya and Shudra in the, this. I've not heard specifically. The Devaloka, I think Brahmanas may be there, the Kshatriyas may be. Narada is the Rishi among the Devatas. The Devatas, because they are playing the role of an administrator, they are Kshatriya. Vaishya Shudra, I don't think it is there in the Devata. It could be, it may be there, but different demigods are the role of it. So there could be, when among the Devata, there are people who are serving the Devatas. Indra may be having different attendants. So they may be among the Devatas. They are in the Devaloka, but they are Shudra.
Yeah. Because Brihaspati is a Brahmana,
Yes.
and also Narada Muni is Brahmana.
Yes. Vaishyas, maybe Kubera could be Kubera. They are not doing any business there. Vaishya, I don't know, but at least I can see the Brahmanas are, Kshatriyas are.
Yeah. Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Hemi Mataji, please unmute yourself and go ahead.
Dandavat Pranam Prabhuji, has a beautiful class, very deep. I just have a practical questions. You said like a true devotee should be a devotee under all circumstances and remain undisturbed even if there is reason for disturbance. Now, I know really in life, at workplace especially, we have challenges and disturbing situations. So what would be a practical tip to practice this principle? Thank you.
Only Bhagavatam actually gives very such high ideals to the characters of Dhritarashtra. In our own lives, everyone goes through many challenging situations. We also, at times, we may be in the practice of Anartha Nivritti, Anishtita Bhajana Kriya, unsteady devotional service. So, challenging situations come at certain times, but when those challenging situations are not there, we can at least do our sadhana properly. When you sweat in peace, then you bleed less during the war. So when the life is smooth at that time, at least let us perform the sadhana properly. And let us take the association of devotees. And then when we do that, in due course of time, Krishna will give us the strength. Krishna never tests a person beyond one's capacity. The question paper will be according to one's capacity. And so one need not be too much worried about what will I be able to face such a difficult situation. No, the main key is that the best of our ability we perform our sadhana, Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya and Vaishnava Seva, and also assisting in the preaching. We do that sincerely, also perform our responsibility. Due course of time, the difficulties come. Sometimes we will not be able to find the solutions on a practical level for many problems. But at least we will not get our spiritual faith will not get slackened. Faith will not get slackened. We will go through past that situation.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
So remembering the examples presented in the Shastra is also helpful. Vallabhacharya was hearing the class of Hariparsha Prabhu. quoting a verse from Vallabhacharya. Vallabhacharya says that one should practice Dhairya by remembering the examples of three personalities: Jadabharat, Gopis, and the queen who sold buttermilk. The queen who sold the buttermilk, maybe a story, interesting story. There was a lady who had a lover, but then she was going to get married to a king. And, the lady and her lover, they planned that, okay, you get married, but then you kill the king, and then we will run away with the wealth. And then she got married to the king, and then as per the plan, she killed her husband, and she ran away with the wealth along with her lover. But on the way, the lover got killed by the snake, by the bite of a snake. And then now she is nowhere to go. She can't go back. She killed the husband. Now her lover is also killed. Then she was just wandering like a vagabond. And then at one point, in order just to maintain herself, she took up the occupation of a prostitute just to earn money. And then she was serving as a prostitute. And then one day somebody came to meet her. Then that person was seemed to be somebody familiar to her. But as a normal customer, she served that customer. Well, when the customer was going, she asked the name of the person. And that person told the name. And then that time she realized that, oh, he is one of my close relatives. I had a physical relation with this person. Oh, it is so abominable. I made such a great mistake. Like that, she started repenting and she wanted to commit suicide. And she went to end her life in a smashan ghat, but she didn't get the courage to commit suicide. And then again, she started wandering here and there. And then she met a certain group of women who were selling buttermilk, village ladies. And in their association, she also started selling buttermilk. So she was a queen previously. She got married to the king. So now she started selling buttermilk. One day, some thieves stole the buttermilk. And then when the thieves stole the buttermilk, and then she was not at all disturbed, but all the other ladies were disturbed. So our buttermilk is stolen away, and they were disturbed. But they saw that this particular lady is not at all disturbed, although her buttermilk is also stolen away. And then they came to her. How come that you are so peaceful, although your buttermilk is stolen? And she told her entire story. In my life, so many things happened. She told how she killed her husband, she ran away with her lover, and then she was a prostitute. So many things, all the story. So in compared to all the events which happened in my life, this loss of the buttermilk is something insignificant. So therefore, I'm not disturbed at all. So the story is that lady, that queen who sold buttermilk, is like a living entity. So every living entity has a relationship with Krishna. So that the king is like Krishna. But the living entity leaves the association of Krishna and runs away with the Maya Devi. Just like this queen left the association of the king and she ran away with her lover. So living entity runs away with the Maya Devi, putting the faith in the Maya Devi. But the Maya Devi cheats the living entity. The lover got killed. And then the living entity goes through so many miseries. After going through so many miseries in so many situations, so many lifetimes, and by some fortune, the living entity gets the association of a devotee of the Lord, or a Guru. So this lady got the association of this women who are selling buttermilk, who are like the devotee association. And then after getting the devotee association, we may get some problems. But if those problems are like the loss of a buttermilk. in comparison, if we see from a holistic point of view, compared to so many lifetimes spent in so many situations, so the problems which we encounter after taking up devotional service is like the loss of a buttermilk. So when we see from the holistic point of view, just like the queen did not lament for the loss of the buttermilk, Vallabhacharya is saying that a devotee should remember this example of a queen and should not lament, should not become too much disturbed by the loss of a buttermilk or by the different difficulties. One should remain patient and go through the situation. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Rinki Mataji, please unmute yourself and go ahead, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Prabhuji, I got a question. Like it's saying that in Bhakti Yoga sadhana process, it doesn't depend on the external situation. So can you elaborate a little bit?
Bhakti Yoga, just like Krishna is independent, Bhakti Yoga is also independent. Janmadhyasya yatonvayat itaratas chartesh abhijñas swarat. Krishna is independent swarat. Similarly, Bhakti Yoga is also independent. So in that sense, Bhakti Yoga is not dependent on any situation. This is the Siddhanta of Bhakti Yoga. But on a practical level, our practice of Bhakti Yoga is for a person to sustainably practice, we require certain basic stability say in one's family life, in one's occupation, stability in health, stability of mind, and facilities. That is the practical reality. The Siddhantic reality is that Bhakti is independent of any situation. So, at present, our Bhakti Yoga may be dependent on different factors. But but we have to, as time progresses, like at least when a person is advancing, the more a person advances, his consciousness, his pure consciousness in Bhakti Yoga does not become dependent on many external situations. Like Prabhupada was lying in the deathbed. He had not, he was not drinking, he was not eating for many days. But his consciousness was so pure, it was fixed. The Bhagavatam, he was translating the Bhagavatam. So such examples are there in the contemporary world and also in the Shastras. But Prabhupada was concerned. He was asking the devotees about the prasadam menu for the devotees in his Krishna Balram temple. What is the prasadam menu? Are the devotees getting proper prasadam? Because he knows that for the sadhaka devotees, their bhakti is dependent on many facilities like getting proper prasad, proper facilities. So if Prabhupada has transcended all the situations, his consciousness was fixed. But he was concerned the devotee should have good prasadam. They should have good stability. They should have good facilities for executing bhakti. So similarly, our situation, our Bhakti Yoga may be dependent on different factors. Yeah, to the extent possible, we should have the stability and we should create stability for others' practice of Bhakti Yoga in our family and others. At the same time, we have to, when we are advancing, our at least consciousness, pure consciousness of Bhakti Yoga should not become dependent on the change in the external situations. And that is a sign a person is advancing in Bhakti Yoga.
Prabhuji, can I ask one more question?
Yes.
भक्ति योग में माइंड क्या आई मीन हमारा जो माइंड होते हैं फिर इंटेलिजेंस सोल So मन का क्या कितना importance है? What is the, I mean, the thinking, feeling, willing, but इसका कितना गहराई में गहरा क्या है? I don't understand.
Yeah, the essence of sadhana bhakti is to fix the mind on Krishna. Tasmat kena pyupayena mana Krishne niveshayet. By some means or the other, one should fix the mind on Krishna. So we have to, there are certain basic spiritual practices. Chanting the holy names is common for everyone. Hearing Srimad Bhagavatam is common for everyone. So these basic spiritual practices, we try to fix our mind on the holy name, the words of the Srimad Bhagavatam. But at the same time, we don't have so much of time, or we don't have so much of taste to devote all our time only in chanting and hearing. So we have to understand our talents and engage those talents. How can those talents be utilized in the service of Krishna? Our psychophysical nature, our talents. So when we are engaged according to our psychophysical nature, we will not find how the time is passing by. So we will be able to easily fix our mind in that activity. And when that activity is offered to Krishna, so then the activity becomes spiritualized.
And
so
Prabhuji, Prabhuji, ज्ञान शून्य भक्ति क्या है?
So, Jnana Shunya Bhakti means one should give up the path of mental speculation. Jnana Shunya Bhakti. That means mental speculation means when a person thinks that by my own effort, by my own intelligence, I can understand Krishna. That means one is depending on one's own mind, one's own ability. The path of mental speculation.
So how the devotees have the understanding, Prabhuji?
So we get the understanding from the descending process by hearing the Shastras, hearing from the devotees.
And also by asking question, pariprasthana.
Yes, yes.
Dandavat Prabhuji, Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Sloka we cited in Bhaktivedanta Swami Thakur spoke, that is 10.14.8. If there are no more questions,
Anybody have any questions? Yeah, if nobody have any question, we'll end the call here, Prabhuji. Paying obeisances to Prabhuji and all the devotees. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhu
Titanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha.
Ramcha Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Prabhupada ki jai. Radhika Vallabha Prabhu ji ki jai. God bless you. Thank you so much,
Prabhuji.
Prabhuji.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Radhe Radhe. Gauranga Nityananda. Gauranga
So much,
Nityananda.
Prabhuji, for giving your valuable time and association for this morning. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Thank you so much. Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe.
Thank you everyone for
Prabhuji.
joining.
Dhamma
We are
Pranam.
finishing
Hare
the call for
Krishna.
today.